Yo guys, what is up? Today I want to talk to you guys about the new info we have regarding ranks and Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising and how it will affect you guys on your climb to the top. So let's talk about it. To give you guys a brief rundown, basically what is going to happen is that they are putting two ranks in between Master and Grandmaster. So after Master, there will be Silver Master, and then after Silver Master, there will be Gold Master, and then obviously Grandmaster for the top 10 people of their rank in each character. To give you guys an explanation into why they'd be adding these new ranks is because a lot of people have been complaining about how easy it is to achieve Master now. My opinion on that is it is a tad easier than before, but you still have to be winning your games to get there in the first place anyway, so I don't think it is a huge deal. But overall, I think these changes are good and will give people a reason to play after they hit Master rank, because a lot of people get Masters and then just sit there because there isn't really a reason to play afterwards other than to try to get GM, and the GM is only the top 10 people at each character, right? So once you hit Masters, you know, it kind of feels like, well, I might not be able to make it up there. I might be able to make it to like 500 or, you know, 1,000 crystals currently at my current skill level, but there isn't really a reason to push past that, right? So they're kind of just giving us an incentive to keep playing ranked, which I think is good. They plan on adding these changes in the 2.3 version of the game, which I believe is going to be the version with Meg in October. So that will also give us something cool to look forward to. But let's go over how they're going to change the point distribution and the ranks. So as you guys can see, we get a nice image here that shows us, you know, Masters. Then once you get so many points, you will hit Silver Master, and then after that you will hit Gold Master, which these icons, by the way, they did a fantastic job. I love the Gold Master icon. It is actually very well done, but they're all cool. So here we go. We have this versus rank over here, as you guys can see, Master, Silver Master, and Gold Master. So the point requirement for Master will be from 0 to 199 points. Silver Master will be 200 to 499 points, and then anything that's 500 plus after that will be Gold Master, which is really cool. The cool part about this is these are kind of the numbers that a lot of people talked about when the ranks start to get harder, because they were always like, hey, there's a difference between a Master with 0 points and a Master with 200 points or anything above that. So that's really cool that they kind of decided to almost listen to the community on that, which is cool. And then obviously with the new ranks comes new rewards. The cool thing about this is we have these new profile backgrounds that we can unlock. So once you hit Silver Master rank, you get this cool silver one with the kind of like the Granblue sigil back there almost. Upon reaching Gold rank, we can unlock this really cool gold one. I absolutely love this gold one, and this black one is also very cool. It's kind of like the Psy Games color because you have that like silverish white outline with the black behind it, which is really cool. And as I said before, these rewards will unlock immediately after attaining each rank, so that'll be super cool. And the cool thing to note as well is that these card colors, regardless of who you got it on, will be able to be used on any character of your choosing, even if you have not reached that rank with that character. Now let's talk about the point adjustments to how many you will gain and lose based on who you are playing. So the first one they give us is a Master versus a Gold Master. So if a Master player wins that match, they will gain 18, lose 3. If a Gold Master beats a Master player, they will get plus 12, minus 7, which in my opinion is pretty fair because obviously the crystal difference isn't super massive, but it is still a pretty big gap overall skill wise. So the next matchup we have is a Gold Master versus a Grandmaster. So the Gold Master that beats a Grandmaster will get 75 points, which is absolutely huge, and will only lose 12. And then the Grandmaster will get 18 and lose 3, which I think is overall pretty fair given the skill gap there. And then we'll have a Master versus a Grandmaster, which is 500 points and up. So the Master player that beats a Grandmaster player will get 100 points, which is insane because I believe before this, only gave you 50 or 75. So I do believe that this is an increase from before, which is huge. And they will only lose -7, so that is really cool. And then the Grandmaster will gain 12 and lose 7. So overall, you're gaining more points than you are losing, which is always, welcome. So then we have a low Grandmaster versus a high Grandmaster. The lower Grandmaster, upon beating the higher Grandmaster, will get +75, and they will lose 25. And then the Grandmaster will get 50 if they are above 500 points, and lose 50. So if they are above this threshold, you will gain what you lose. And at that point, I think that that is pretty fair because you are at the top echelon of rank at that point. I do think these point totals are honestly pretty decently fair across the board depending on your opponent. So that is a nice change to see. And by looking at this, I'm kind of getting the idea that they are separating this. So what I believe will happen is upon reaching that Silver Master rank, you'll probably get set back to 0 crystals. Then you'll have to go from, that point total to the other point total, I believe, is kind of what I'm getting at. The reason that I say this is because this Grandmaster down here goes from 0 to 99 points, and then there's Grandmaster 500 plus. So it makes me wonder if they're not going to separate each of these new ranks by a crystal amount. So it'd be interesting to see that. And the other important thing to note is that if there is over 1,000 point difference between players at the start of the match, that master rank player will lose 0 points upon a loss, even if their opponent is a Grandmaster rank. So that is usually pretty nice because the skill discrepancy is so large there that I think that incentivizes a lot of people to still play while not losing their crystals, right? Because, a lot of people have ranked anxiety, things like that. But at the end of the day, I think if you lose, you should still lose something. Like, even if it's a crystal or two, like, I still think you should lose something. But, hey, this is how they want to do it. And overall, that's a minor complaint because I still think this distribution here that I'm hovering... Oh, my bad. This distribution here that I'm hovering is still pretty fair overall. So down here, this chart that they're giving us is giving us the current point system that they use. So if it's a master versus a master, you gain 12, lose 7. If it's a Grandmaster versus Grandmaster, you get 50, lose 50. And then if you are a Grandmaster versus a master, the Grandmaster would get 12 and lose 7. If you are a master player that wins that match against a Grandmaster, you would have 70 plus 75 minus 12. So overall, I actually think this is pretty good because this incentivizes Grandmasters to play Grandmasters. So that way you can't just farm the master players to get your Grandmaster rank. I do really like that. So that is a nice welcome change. So the last chart we got here, guys, is for Master and Silver Master 0 to 499 points. So these ranked players will receive point bonuses upon winning 3 or more consecutive matches in a row. What they are saying is basically if you have a 3 to 4 win streak, you're going to get an extra 5 points. If you are on a 5 to 9 win streak, you'll get +8 for each match in between there. And if you are 10 plus, you will get 10 plus points for each win. So the nice thing about this is win streaking matters. And in the current system, I believe there is no win streaking. You just lose a certain amount of points, gain a certain amount of points. And I'm a big fan, always have been a big fan of being rewarded for going on those win streaks. Because in the original Granblue, you had a win streak bonus. So like if you were winning a lot, you gained an extra crystal, right? Because it worked off a crystal system like Granblue Rising used to do before they did like this massive overhaul on the rank system. But this is really cool. I'm a big fan of the win streak bonusing in this game. And I'm glad that it is now in the master ranks because it will incentivize more people to play. Because that overall will mean less grinding and it'll push those higher echelon players up quicker, right? And that's always good and will obviously cause less tilt for a lot of people. But let's just read this small thing here. Point bonuses will apply to the first match that meets each required number of consecutive wins. For example, winning another match after a 2-win streak will result in a 3-win point bonus, which, hey, that's pretty cool. And they also note that no changes have been made to the Grandmaster requirements, and they thank us for playing Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, which absolutely this game rocks. So before we close this video out, guys, I just want to give my final thoughts here. The new system honestly is a very welcome change because for me, after getting Master Rank, I still wanted to go for GM, but at the same time, I knew I had a lot of work to do. But in the meantime, this gives me a reason to play ranked, and I think any change like that is a fantastic change. So I'm looking very forward to this when Mag comes out, as I will be playing a lot of Mag, a lot of Vera, and a lot of Beatrix probably, but mostly Mag. And we get new rewards, and new rewards are always awesome because showing off your skill and your achievements is always a very cool thing, and I hope that they add more to this in the future because I think ranked rewards are always a positive thing to have in any game that has a competitive mode. Whether you're still on your journey or trying to rank up in this game, this is still useful information to know so that when you hit this rank, you are not left in the dark. But as always, guys, if you enjoy my content and you would like to see more, please consider following me on Twitch, subscribing to my YouTube, and leaving me a follow on TikTok. Till next time, guys, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in those fighting games. Peace.